But I want to thank all of you for joining me here this morning. Uh, I imagine a lot of people think of a self-driving car as science fiction or something out of the Jetsons. And it may not be something that happens for a long time to come. But we're living in an era of Moore's Law, where every 2 years we double our computer processing speeds. And what it's done, it's allowed us to demonstrate exponential improvements in the areas of advanced technology, including the ability to use technology to make self-driving cars a reality sooner rather than later. I've introduced a bill, SB 1298, that directs the California Highway Patrol to develop standards and performance requirements for the safe testing and operation of autonomous vehicles. And let me share a little bit of history that'll convey why I believe it's important to do this and to do this now. Laws tend to be very reactive to technology over the course of history. As we're talking about vehicles, let's recognize that automobile technology was turn of the century back in 1900. The first few years developed the first models of vehicles, but it wasn't until about 12 years later that America was introduced to the stop sign. So we're not even talking about public policy keeping up with, or staying ahead of technology, but just trying to keep up. And here in California today, we have entities like Google, like Caltech, automakers like BMW, Audi, and Volvo, who are already committing significant research dollars to driverless technology with the goals of improved safety, improved fuel efficiency, and improved traffic flow. Since the dawn of the automotive age, there have been continuous efforts to enhance vehicle safety. We're all familiar now with seatbelts, with airbags, with tempered glass and body design, all features that will help protect us and keep us safe in the event of an accident. Yet 100 years after the advent of automobiles, automobile accidents remain a leading cause of death. The Center for Disease Control reports that motor vehicle crashes are the leading cause of death among people 5 through 34 years old. In 2009, more than 2.3 million adult drivers and passengers were treated in emergency rooms because of automobile accidents. In 2010, there were nearly 33,000 people who died in automobile accidents across the country, 2,700 of those fatalities right here in California. So we also recognize that the vast majority of traffic fatalities and injuries are caused by human error. So the bottom line is this: can we utilize and incorporate state-of-the-art technology to make our vehicles and therefore our roads and our society safer? As a public policymaker, as a legislator, I have an obligation to accept that challenge, embrace it, and try to facilitate it. And so we have introduced this bill recognizing that autonomous vehicle technology is coming much sooner rather than later, and we're asking our California Highway Patrol to develop the safety standards and requirements for their testing and operation on our roads. With the introduction of this bill, California joins a number of states in introducing similar legislation. The state of Nevada signed a bill into law just this last year. So it's happening now. In California, companies have been at the center of the research and innovation, and we should be at the center of the economic benefit and the safety benefits as well. Let me introduce, on behalf of Google, their product manager, Anthony Lewandowski, to maybe talk a little bit about the technology and say a few words.
First of all, we want to thank Senator Padilla for inviting us here and allowing us to showcase our technology in Sacramento. We're very pleased to be here and support him in his efforts. I appreciate the opportunity to talk a little bit about the bill. We've been working on this in California for a long time, and we've been testing in this state. This is our home state. There are a team of engineers that have been working on this for many years. Some of whom have been working on this for 10 years over on our team. we are not the only ones that are building this technology, and we encourage other companies such as auto manufacturers to help bring autonomous technology and the benefits that it has for society to this state and to all the states in the nation. We've had, in terms of our testing, driven a couple 100,000 miles in the state of California. We've driven from San Francisco to Los Angeles on Highway 1. We've driven down the crookedest street, Lombard Street. We've driven on all the bridges in the San Francisco Bay Area. We've driven around Lake Tahoe. And we're excited to keep up our testing and operations here. So, to close, I'm really excited about seeing Senator Padilla's work on bringing and building a framework for testing and helping enable the groundwork for consumers to have access to this wonderful new technology. And with that, thank you very much, Senator.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Any questions?
It works extremely well. It has a variety of sensors that it uses to perceive the environment, from laser scanners, cameras, radar, along with some computers to process that information, and then a drive-by-wire system to actuate the car and safely guide it down the road.
So essentially this car senses other cars, obstacles, dangers?
Yeah, absolutely. It has sensors. It sees 360 around the vehicle. It never gets distracted, never gets drunk. It always does the right thing. And by sensing not only the vehicles around around itself, but what the world looks like, it knows where the lanes are and where to actually drive, and where the stop signs are, what the light color is. So it's a much better driver than I am.
Well, as someone who test drove it, if you will, just yesterday, I'll share with you my experience. In many ways, it was a little anticlimactic. You hear about the technology and all these gadgets and what the potential is. So we got behind the wheel, hit the road, I took it to the airport and back. As soon as you hit that green button, the autonomous technology takes over. It was smooth. It, like you said, probably drove better than we would have driven. It senses if a car merges into the lane in front of you, it'll slow down and maintain that safe distance from the car in front of you and your vehicle. It'll know if it's safe to change lanes or not. It can sense if, what happened to me was a big rig pulled up to the right side of us, so the car kind of gave it just a couple more inches. It moved over to the left and then recentered itself, and it made sense to do so. It handled curves even better than I could, and it literally does do everything. So I'd encourage you to take a visit.
Yeah, we don't have any ideas of cost right now, but as all new technology, you can imagine the first IBM computer that took several rooms, and today, you can have an Android phone that fits in your pocket that has many times more capabilities that costs much less. I would imagine that the same thing will happen with this technology. So it's expensive now, and it's going to be a lot less expensive when people can, start buying them. I think there's been about $200,000 worth of equipment on board today.
Go ahead, share your story.
So, I've been personally passionate about this since a little kid, since I've been playing with Legos. But I think, from Google's perspective, we looked about it and decided, how can we improve people's lives by transforming mobility? And we thought about, since we're a technology company and we're all about innovation, let's reimagine the car and think of what would happen if the computer had been invented before the car. And you can extrapolate from there. I think, the great work that Senator Padilla is doing here is helping accelerate this. So,
well, I think it's, from my understanding of it, this isn't a completely new invention. A lot of the features that the radars and sensors have are already in some vehicles today, whether it's cruise control technology, but now it's a adjustable cruise control where it'll, again, sense cars that get in front of you or not, the ability to keep up with the flow of traffic, things like, you know, one of the more common features in cars increasingly is that rear camera in the rear bumper that help when you're driving reverse, the self-park technology. I mean, imagine combining all that and so much more. It's been an iterative process. It's not a single brand new technology, but a way to package all these and have them integrate that's just gotten a whole lot better. Well, you know, some people could say 2020. You know, with enough interest and investment, it could be sooner. Nobody can guarantee a release date, but.
So like I said, we're not the only ones building this technology. So, you know, all the car manufacturers have their own research efforts, and we're talking with all of them to see how it makes sense to roll this technology out.
Technological challenges, I'm not sure. I mean, it's going to sound very simple when I say, you know, autonomous vehicles are not prohibited in state law currently, but they're not explicitly permitted either. I mean, when we were drafting vehicle code 50 years ago, who would have imagined? You know, who would have thought? But here we are. And here's one in practice. So from a public policy standpoint, it's recognizing that the technology is here to the extent that they will be driven either on a test basis or someday, sooner rather than later, fully operational. They ought to abide by certain safety criteria for the sake of everybody. And that's what we've asked the Highway Patrol to establish, that safety criteria. You know, I'll be honest, in the state of Florida, one of the questions or criticisms has been, well, no, you got to really keep this in a test track in a lab somewhere until it's deemed safe to put and introduce to the highways. Well, there's only so much testing and learning you can do in an isolated environment like that. It's not until we expose the technology to real-world conditions that we'll learn everything we need to learn before we see the mass deployment of it. And 200,000 plus miles later, I think they've learned a lot, including this thing works. See, well, that kind of happened to me yesterday, and quicker than I would have reacted to, you know, let's slow this vehicle down and, again, recreate that safe space in front of you. And as you see the image on the side of the laptop as you're riding, not only does it see the car in front of you, the car behind you, it can see a couple cars ahead. It can see elements that would normally be in my blind spot. So that's all helpful. The car could actually be smarter than us. But at any point in time, we can take the system back over. It's not this, you know, robot that's going to have a life of its own. It's as smart as these folks have designed it, and it's pretty darn smart. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you all for being here.